Mm-hmm. Mm. You know, listening to people. Basically, today, what just happened on San Pablo, or I mean, on University, and I believe Shattuck, is that like you heard people talking. You hear it recorded all the time. And let me share with you what I experienced. You know, so let's go and see if I can go ahead and find anything on my other side. Is that um, when I was living in Los Angeles in Miracle Mile, I moved in an ad, I believe, on Spare Room. There's an ad on Spare Room. And, I met this woman. I was really taking a chance. She seemed really sweet. Had dinner with her. And I realized at the dinner, met her friend. And, of course, it was always everything. What everything is, everybody has this look on their face. Ooh, I know. It's like, yeah, everybody's stuck in this, like, this, this, this dream in their head, and it kind of it's alienating because it feels like nobody wants to be there, in their own, like, present in their own existence or something. And one of the reasons that I omitted it, it's actually still there technically. It's on my other site. I have two other sites, and this is where it was when I did this piece right here. When I did this work right here, is that I moved in there, and immediately I noticed it was a villa, like a cottage, like a very Italian cottage, And immediately it was kind of like I was in love with it, but at the same time it was like, what are they gonna, like? How are they gonna put themselves in this position? She told me the people next door was a cop. It was like this, and she was, and quite literally, I moved in. It was great. I loved the neighborhood. I had been there before. I knew very well that it was, it was at that point I was so familiarized with everything that's going on. That I was almost kind of like, I've done my research, and I knew that there was a huge amount of law enforcement and CIA in the neighborhood, which I actually kind of felt comforted by. Not comforted by, not at all. I mean, believe me, I don't feel comforted by that at all, not in a way. But it's kind of like you assume that people don't shit where they sleep. No. And what happened was I moved in, and immediately it was like the sound, like the 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 radio signal, like the EMF that they use in the effects, were like 10 times stronger. Like it was like not just like they were next door, but it was like he's right there. You know what I mean? Like breathing and everything was very, very uncomfortable. But I shy not away from like what life gives me, because that's what it gives me. That's part of the experience, and I do not reject it, because I feel it's an opportunity to learn from it, and to take it by the hand and just kind of say, well, I'm not a victim of life. I live life, And the fact of the matter is that I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about other people, and I think at the end of the day, though, what it was is that I in no way am interested in being. I'm not a braggart, and it's probably the most alienating part of this situation of everything that happened. But it's this is that when you walk out of your door and you see a very like famous person and they look at you and they're like wow. You don't know, you've never met this person. You know, you've only known them from movies or like music or whatever. But the scenario is absolutely malefic and like reprehensible. You know, it's reprehensible, and you can tell that they know it's reprehensible. Is that it's not. It doesn't even shy away from my work, and I'm an occultist. I work in the occult. I work. You know, this is like what I do. I'm a magician. I'm a mystic, and I'm not interested in evil. I do work. I'm a scientist. I do work. I'm an experimentalist. And then you have like the hangers on that they have and the sycophants and the little white rabbits as we call them, and the closet magicians, and then the fake the charlatans, and it's the whole gamut. But I think the thing though is that today what happened was I was hearing someone say it, and I'm not afraid to take chances. I can't be. It's for the sake of not only me but people I love, my future, and like just kind of like taking hold of it and saying, like I have nobody's gonna call the shots. I'm gonna call the shots for myself. So I said it. I said this kid is like doing this. It's a waterboarding. He's like a little kid that's waterboarding, and I knew it because this kid would always play around the neighborhood. If you see one of the videos, my gosh, I don't wish that on anybody. And so I said, you're blank blank's kid, very well known person, and he just shut his mouth immediately. I said, and you know what it is that words like evil and like even like the idea of celebrity and everything like that. These are tools that people use, that other people use them as tools to say, cower. It's to say, look what side you're on. It's to say, I'm a star. I'm going to tell you something. I did not choose my path because of anything. I chose my path because I chose to meditate because I didn't want to kill myself as a teen. I didn't want to live a meaningless existence. I didn't want to live this lie. I didn't want to lie. Eventually, before I kind of like came to true terms that I was, interested in guys, I just didn't want to I didn't want to be a part of anything that I was a part of. And it's not because I didn't like anybody, but because that's where like everything was like been like pushing me like my whole life, And when I heard that silence today, I realized that I'm not wrong in what I believe in, and it's for the sake of everything. I don't need to reflect on that, but the saddest part is that I am still willing. It's not sad, but it's sad for everybody else because I feel the pain and I accept. I mean, I have to. I live in a state of acceptance. They just don't live in a state of acceptance. Is that as long as people live in denial, they will compromise their absolute possibility and have to succumb to this void. And I don't think since Black Plague or the feudal age, I mean, sometimes does happen. Who knows? We had this many people who are just in an absolute state, just for like what? For totalitarianism. It's disgusting. It's still greed. It's still just greed. It's like for what? Just the need for more. Nobody here is a living. Not here. I'm not talking about here, and I can't make people presumptuous, but the people who are doing this, the people who I come across who like want to get involved, they don't understand that they're not living their life. They're not living their life. Here's a very interesting manuscript. So, as I was looking up things, these came up randomly, And then the voices online were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you posted those on that thing." Cause like someone called me and I looked up the number. And this is very interesting. This is the Buch der Empfindungen Gewerbe. So in the Habsburg age, the men would go off to war and leave the women with the children. And they made these manuscripts for like child rearing and like house stuff and stuff. So the women knew how to be good mothers, you know, especially since most of the time they were even like very, very young, you know. And part of these was how to raise children to be these like automatons or whatever, you know, like just making up children made for war, things like that. And this is part of the practice. This is actually part of the practice. This is what they talk about, this child thing. Because I guess it's just a way to like control people. And it's a fear thing. Like people are afraid to be found out with this. Which is because I mean these people like they're pariahs, you know? And so manipulative. Like these people are the most manipulative people you could ever imagine. Like so manipulative because they're constantly just in search of they want this thing. And when I was on the line the other day, Marco was talking about the Andalusian dog, and I always liked the film Andalusian. I always thought it was really strange, and he explained to me what the Andalusian dog was. The Andalusian dog was him. He said, "I'm the Andalusian dog." Then I saw it, and I didn't know that before. Remember that I didn't know that before. I learned that on here. So there you go.